What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday here, just chilling in the kitchen. And I want to do a video here for you guys on 3 things you need to be aware of that could sabotage your fantasy football season, your league stats, your fantasy football team. Could really ruin you if you're not aware of these 3 important things. And by being aware of them, just by being aware, you're going to be light years ahead of the competition. Because if you're doing what everyone else does, you're going to get what everyone else got, right? You don't want to follow the herd. You want to be thinking ahead. And in this video, 3 things to be aware of to save your fantasy football league and to win your league, right? To make sure that you win, you got to avoid these things. So very important episode here with you. Get ready to dive into it. Let's go.
Been knocked down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no fear.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm glad you guys, hopefully you guys like that new intro. Some people saying it's fire. I personally like it because I was, one of the creators of and the designer and the guy that chose the song for it. I hope you guys like the intro. Guys, listen, I do this for a living. I know it doesn't really help you guys to do this, but please hit the smash the thumbs up button right below. I'd love for you guys to hit the thumbs up, help the engagement get up. Want to get my message out to more people that are following this sheep herd. We need more lions in this community. So very important, guys. Really helps the channel. Means a lot to me. Just hit the thumbs up here. I'm going to go over 3 things you really need to avoid to save your fantasy football season, okay? Again, these are very important things, so let's just dive into them. Before I do, actually, make sure you guys get the 16-round draft solution. I've linked it below. Just go to it, guys. Just go to it. The video explains all of it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, other than the fact that you're going to win your league. So grab the 16-round draft solution. Use code SMASH to save. And, I mean, it was a great weekend. I watched some UFC. My friend Benil ended up losing, unfortunately, to Charles Oliveira, who was due for a bounce-back type of game, bounce-back type of fight, coming off the loss to Islam Makhachev not too long ago. But, again, great card. There's actually a couple good fights on there. And, of course, Novak Djokovic breaks the record for most Grand Slams for a male at 23, winning the French Open. Amazing for Novak. And what's amazing here with Novak, I got to talk about this, guys. I got to talk about greatness here. You guys are sports fans. You got to admire this. You got to admire the fact that he's got 23 Grand Slams, and he did it during a time where 2 other amazing players played in the same era in Federer and Nadal. So, I mean, you got to take a look at that and see, man. And he missed a year due to the vid because he didn't want to take the jab. So the guy's amazing. The fact that he still got 23 Grand Slams, just absolutely amazing. GOAT status. Whether you like him or not, you got to commend him on his GOAT play, which was absolutely amazing. Just enjoyed the French Open. So again, wanted to get this video to you. So smash thumbs up. Let's get to it. The first thing you need to avoid, guys, to win your leagues is avoid fake gurus, okay? I've been doing this since 2015. I was actually the first vlogger on Instagram for fantasy football analysis. Back when vlogging wasn't even cool, I did that first vlogger. And, when I first came up with my name, the Fantasy Football Counselor, I remember, guys, clear as day, it was like, oh my gosh, should I use the word counselor? Is that like a weird name for fantasy football? And now there's a fantasy football refrigerator operator, fantasy football plumber, fantasy football dentist, fantasy football shoe repairman. Like there is a fantasy football whatever. So you got to be aware of the gurus. And I got to tell you straight up, okay? I don't watch all these channels, but I've kind of taken a glance at some of them. And I got to be honest with you guys. And again, this is a little biased, but this is the only podcast you should be listening to. I know that sounds terrible, it sounds narcissistic, it doesn't sound right, but I genuinely am talking from the bottom of my heart here that I know for a fact that all these guys are copying and paste rankings, all these guys are cutting and pasting, all these guys are literally just playing it safe, and that's not how you're going to win your fantasy football leagues. Nobody puts their neck on the line, nobody takes a risk. Last year, I told you, avoid Cooper Kupp. And you can say, well, Cooper Kupp was on pace to do really well. It doesn't matter. It's how you finish. At the end of the day, he busted because he did not finish on top. And, I projected an injury. I projected a decline. I projected that something was going to happen, a Super Bowl hangover, and it happened. Jonathan Taylor, I projected a decline. It happened. Rashad Penny, I said, go Walker. And there's tons more example. Made you aware of Tyler Algier. Made you aware of Christian Watson. Made you aware of all these guys that could potentially break out while the consensus were literally copying and pasting. And it's happening again, guys, which I'll get to my second point in a second, is that these gurus are literally vomiting out the same BS every single year. And that's really not going to help you guys win your leagues, okay? So I'm telling you, be careful, be aware. Everyone's doing this clickbaity BS stuff when they're doing their posts. Just a lot of fluffy people out there. A lot of people popping up I've never seen before. I've been at this consistently since 2015 in fantasy football. I've been playing fantasy football like since 2010 hardcore. So I've been in this industry for a solid 13 years strong. Now they say if you do anything for 10 years, you're pretty much a professional at it. And I've been living and breathing it for a solid 8 years, okay, guys? I've been going at this hard, giving analysis, and everyone is just popping up thinking they could be an analyst, and little do they know that they are just following the herd as well. So again, fake gurus, be aware. That's number one. Number two, guys, this is very important, guys. Do not, and I say this before, but let me elaborate a little bit more. Do not follow the consensus rankings. Now, we're doing it again. Last year was a lesson to you. Copy and paste Jonathan Taylor. Copy and paste Cooper Kupp. Copy and paste everybody over. DeAndre Swift, like they thought that he was going to be the guy. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. Guys, you got to wake up. There's a lot of copy and paste. A lot of players they go for simply based on popularity. It's very cookie cutter, very vanilla analysis out there. This is not going to help you guys win your leagues. I assure you guys, this will not help you guys win your leagues. So what you guys need to do is stop following the consensus and get the 16-round draft solution. I've linked it below. And once you get the 16-round draft solution, you guys, your eyes will wake up to the reality that this is the way to draft. You got to omit players that you feel are going to, that I feel that I've done my research on are going to bust, right? That are going to decline. I call it every single year. Let's go back to 2018 or 2019, actually. Michael Thomas had this pinnacle year. And the year after, he busted. Michael Thomas has never been the same since, but everybody told you to draft him as a number one wide receiver after he had that pinnacle year, whatever year it was, 2018, 2019. Had this amazing year. And then he busted. So sometimes, guys, a majority of the time, probability-wise and historically-wise, the guys that finish on top don't necessarily finish on top the year after, and you got to know and project forward, okay? And that is the main thing. You got to project forward. Do not follow the consensus rankings. So I really implore you to be careful from the consensus rankings, from the average ADPs, and to start sometimes reaching for players a round or two earlier that could really break out, okay, guys? Do not follow the herd, okay? And the third thing you really have to be aware of and be careful, which isn't necessarily as important as the other two, but you need to be aware of, is jumping on the train too late, which I've kind of touched on. What do you mean by jumping on the train too late? If the Conchiefs are talking about it, it's probably already been, if it's news that the player is broken out, it's too late. Okay, so you really need to start thinking ahead of the curve, because everybody seems to jump on the hype train when it's hot. As of right now, and maybe it doesn't work out, that Tank Bigsby is the main guy with the Jacksonville Jaguars, or maybe Deuce Vaughn doesn't break out, or maybe Jalen Hyatt is not a good guy. He doesn't do well, on the field, or maybe Quentin Johnson doesn't become the wide receiver one. But I'm investing on some of these guys later in rounds. And I am, I'm doing the research. I'm looking at the depth chart. I'm looking at the opportunity. I'm looking at who's in front of them. And I'm anticipating that these guys could break out. Those are just a couple sample names I just gave you that are in pretty decent opportunities to really shine. You got to really see things before they happen. That's what I do in the 16-round draft solution. But because once it's news, once these guys break out, once they do well in training camp, it's game over. And that's why the earlier I draft, the better I do. It just works out like that, because everybody, before the season starts, they've kind of caught on some of these guys. They didn't catch on Walker last year too much. They caught on a couple other guys earlier last season. They always tend to catch on these guys that I've already been talking about way back right after the NFL draft in April. And these guys jump on. So this point is just don't be late to the party. Anticipate. If you're late to the party, the news is out, you're probably too late. You're jumping to the waiver wire. But if you've already gotten 16 rounds and you know who the sleepers are, you've made an educated decision and stashed some of these guys that are waiver wire wonders. You already have them. So guys, this is very important that you're not late to the party. That's the third thing you need to be aware of. So number one, be aware of these fake gurus out there, guys. They're just spitting out garbage. They're all playing it safe. They don't want to be held accountable, right? Last year, how come nobody's saying sorry for Cooper Kupp? Nobody's saying sorry I told you DeAndre Swift. Nobody's saying sorry I told you Rashad Penny over Walker. Nobody's doing that. All they're doing, they didn't have Saquon Barkley in the top 10. I was telling you, Saquon Barkley is easily a top 5 running back. Get him in the second round. Make sure you secure him as your RB2 with massive upside, which is where he's going. I'm like, make sure you don't miss on him. Everybody had Saquon Barkley, but now they're riding the Saquon train. They're always late to the party. They're never held accountable. So again, fake gurus, copy and paste rankings. They're just, CMC finished on top. Hurrah year last year. They're not factoring in that Elijah Mitchell only played 5 games. They're not factoring in that, CMC is not a young guy anymore. They're not factoring in that he was injured, played 10 games in 2 seasons, right? Prior to his last hurrah last year. They're not factoring that Eckler has a new offensive coordinator and then he was getting a lot of checkdowns and was a beneficiary of a decent offense with a broken up wide receiver core. They're not factoring that Justin Herbert is going to have a contract year. He needs to start throwing the ball downfield. And they brought in Quentin Johnson in the first round. Nobody's talking about that. They're just talking about let's copy and paste Austin Eckler and CMC. So consensus rankings won't help you. And number 3, guys, think outside the box by just being like a reactionary person instead of proactive. You're going to lose. Do not just react to news because everyone else is reacting. Be proactive and see things before they happen. Again, make sure you guys join the Fantasy Front Lines. I've linked it below, or grab the 16-round draft session as well. Put your light years ahead of the competition. All right, guys, I know this is very helpful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you guys going to be avoiding these things? Anything else to be aware of? Drop it below. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion and smash that thumbs up, guys. I appreciate you. I got to go smash a workout, get it in. It's been a few days since I've get a workout in, kind of threw my back out, pulled a muscle playing tennis. Once you have one sport, you do one sport, you go to another. Sometimes you could tweak a muscle or two. It even happens to the best of us, even the best athletes, even though I'm not anywhere near one physically. Anyways, subscribe, thumbs up, more content coming your way on the #1 fantasy football podcast. I am out. Talk soon.